Hedge Witch, A Guide to Solitary Witchcraft, Chapter 1. Imagine a quiet path, bordered by wild herbs and ancient trees. This is the path of the Hedge Witch, a path that lies between the everyday world and the unseen, a place where magic is woven into ordinary life. A hedge witch walks lightly, observing the natural world with attentive eyes and a listening heart. Every action, no matter how small, carries intention. A herb picked with respect, a candle lit with purpose, a moment of stillness to hear the whispers of the wind or the rustle of the forest. Knowledge is not only learned from books, but experienced and lived. Every day offers lessons, the changing seasons, the rhythms of the earth, the subtle signs of plants, animals, and the elements. A hedge witch's magic grows slowly like the roots of a tree. There is no rush, no fixed rules to force progress. Patience, care, and mindfulness cultivate wisdom and power. In these small, deliberate acts, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and life itself is recognized as a sacred ritual. Chapter 2. The hedge witch does not seek grand gestures. Her magic begins in small, intentional actions woven into the fabric of everyday life. Each morning is an opportunity, a cup of tea carefully prepared, a pinch of dried herb added with mindfulness, a simple blessing spoken softly before stepping into the world. Even the act of opening a window to let the wind in can be a ritual, a way to invite fresh energy and the whispers of the unseen. Observation is her first tool. She watches the movement of clouds, the flight of birds, the bending of branches in the wind. Nature speaks in gestures and patterns, and the hedge witch listens not only with her ears, but with her heart. The rising of the sun, the shifting of the seasons, the turning of the moon, each rhythm offers a lesson, a gentle guidance if one pays attention. Words hold power. A whispered thanks to the trees as you gather firewood, a blessing for protection when walking at dusk, even a quiet chant as water is poured. These small verbal acts create ripples in the unseen. Magic is not loud, it is persistent, subtle, and alive in intention. The hedge witch also understands the importance of space. A small altar, a chosen corner of the home, a simple bowl of herbs or crystals, these become focal points for reflection, meditation, and magical work. But the true altar is the life itself. Every kitchen counter, every garden path, every hearth is a place to practice, to honor, to connect. Patience is central to the path. Magic does not hurry, and neither does the hedge witch. Knowledge and skill grow like wild roots, slowly, quietly, hidden from view, yet strong and enduring. Each day brings lessons, each act of care deepens understanding, and each attentive moment strengthens the connection to the living world around her. The essence of hedge witchcraft is integration. Magic is not something added to life, it is life itself, fully present, fully observed, fully honored. In this way, even the simplest of acts, planting a seed, lighting a candle, whispering a prayer, becomes sacred. And through this daily devotion, the hedge witch learns not only the craft of magic, but the art of living with awareness, humility, and wonder. Chapter 3. The hedge witch's magic is grounded in the living world. Herbs, flowers, and roots are her companions, each carrying a spirit and a story. She approaches them not as tools to be wielded, but as teachers to be listened to. When she picks a sprig of rosemary, she feels its protection. When she crushes lavender in her hands, she breathes in calm and clarity. Every plant has its voice, its lesson, its power, waiting to be acknowledged with respect and intention. Daily practice begins with awareness. The hedge witch moves through her home and her surroundings with mindfulness, noticing the texture of leaves, the aroma of dried herbs, the shifting light through the trees. Each sense opens a doorway. Touch, smell, sight, even sound, all become threads in the tapestry of her ritual life. Simple rituals form the backbone of the hedge witch's day. A bowl of water on the windowsill becomes a mirror for the moon's light. A fire lit in the hearth carries prayers and intentions upward. A small circle of stones on a garden path marks a space for reflection and energy work. These are not grand ceremonies, but quiet acts of devotion infused with personal significance. Intention is the essence. A spell need not be complex, nor a chant long. The energy lies in clarity and focus. When the hedge witch anoints a candle with oil or whispers a blessing over her herbs, she is not only performing an action, she is weaving a connection between the seen and unseen, between self and world. She honors the cycles of the day and the moon, understanding that timing shapes energy. Morning light awakens action and initiative. Dusk invites contemplation and gratitude. The waxing moon calls for growth and manifestation. The waning moon encourages release and letting go. By moving in harmony with these cycles, she becomes attuned to the natural rhythm of life and magic alike. Even in solitude, the hedge witch is never truly alone. The spirits of the land, the wisdom of the plants, the echoes of ancestors, and the energies of the elements walk with her, guiding her steps and whispering insights. She listens, she observes, she acts, with care, with intention, and with humility. And so with every plant touched, every ritual performed, and every moment observed, the hedge witch nurtures both her craft and her spirit. Magic is not separated from life. It is life, fully present, alive in every breath and every step along the quiet hedge-lined path. Chapter 4. The hedge witch knows that magic is not only in herbs or spells, but in the spaces we inhabit. Our homes, hearths, and surroundings are extensions of ourselves, and they respond to the energy we bring into them. Protection is not a barrier, but a mindful invitation to welcome harmony and gently set boundaries against disharmony. A simple charm placed near a doorway, a bowl of salt at the corners of a room, or a whisper of gratitude to the elements walking through the house, these small acts carry great influence. Each is a thread in a larger tapestry of care, weaving safety, intention, and awareness into the everyday. The hedge witch also works with natural symbols of protection: rosemary for clarity and cleansing, black tourmaline for grounding, sage for purification, and water for reflection and calm. When these are handled mindfully, they do not merely decorate a shelf or altar, they become vessels of presence, focus, and subtle energy. Daily practice is intertwined with observation and listening. The flicker of candlelight, the smell of incense, the sound of wind through leaves, these are more than sensory experiences. They are messages. They guide her understanding of the unseen world, offering insight when she is quiet enough to notice. Beyond the home, the hedge witch reaches into the world with intention. A circle traced in the garden soil, a blessing whispered over a wildflower, or a quiet offering left for the spirits of the land. These gestures are not commands, but communications. They honor connection over control, dialogue over dominance. She understands that protection is as much about her own focus and presence as it is about objects or spells. Mindfulness sharpens her awareness, and clarity strengthens her boundaries. Through this practice, she carries a quiet confidence, an inner sanctuary of strength that flows outward into every action. Every act of protection, every mindful ritual, every attentive moment becomes part of the hedge witch's way. It is a path of gentle power, where magic is never forced but invited, where life and craft move together in harmony, and where even the smallest gestures ripple outward with meaning. Chapter 5. The hedge witch's magic is woven into the ordinary. Every action, every breath, every choice is an opportunity for ritual, for connection, for growth. She does not wait for grand moments of power. She creates them in the quiet rhythm of daily life. Morning may begin with a blessing over water, a whispered intention for clarity, or a simple observation of the dawn. In the garden, each plant touched, each herb harvested, becomes part of a living spell, a conversation between her spirit and the spirit of the earth. Even a meal prepared with care, seasoned with herbs and gratitude, becomes an act of magic. Personal spells are gentle but deliberate. They may be as simple as lighting a candle for focus, anointing a stone with intent, or speaking words of protection over loved ones. The hedge witch understands that the true power lies not in complexity, but in awareness, repetition, and intention. Every gesture is a bridge between the seen and unseen. Rituals need not be formal. A circle of stones, a small altar, or a bowl of herbs on a windowsill transforms space into sacred ground. The hedge witch moves with mindfulness, honouring the spirits of the land, ancestors, and natural forces that surround her. Each ritual, no matter how small, is a dialogue with life itself. The hedge witch also honours the cycles of nature, the waxing and waning moon, the turning seasons, the rhythm of day and night. These patterns guide her magic, shaping her spells and rituals to harmonise with the energy around her. In this way, her work flows with life rather than against it, allowing the power of the natural world to amplify her own intent. In solitude, she finds strength. Silence becomes a teacher, observation a guide, and reflection a source of wisdom. The hedge witch knows that magic is not something external to be grasped. It is an ever-present current, waiting to be noticed, nurtured, and expressed through her choices and actions. By living with intention, observing with care, and honouring the cycles of nature, the hedge witch transforms the ordinary into the sacred. Every day is a tapestry of small rituals, personal spells, and mindful acts, a life in which magic is not a distant ideal, but a tangible lived experience. Chapter 6. As the hedge witch grows in her practice, she begins to reach beyond the familiar rhythms of daily life and into the unseen realms that surround her. Spirit work is approached with care and respect. It is a dialogue, not a demand, a listening rather than a taking. She may call on the spirits of ancestors, not as masters, but as guides. Their wisdom is offered freely, and she accepts it with humility and gratitude. In quiet moments by the hearth under the moonlight or among the trees, she opens her awareness, sensing presence, receiving insight, and offering thanks. Divination becomes another tool, not of prediction, but of reflection. Simple cards, stones, or scrying water provide mirrors to the inner world, revealing patterns and choices, illuminating the hidden currents that flow through her life. The hedge witch learns to trust her intuition, understanding that true guidance comes from within, assisted by the whispers of the natural and unseen realms. Advanced ritual work often draws on the cycles of the year and the elements. Sabbats, esbats, and seasonal markers are observed not as obligation, but as alignment with nature's rhythms. Offerings of herbs, incense, or small acts of gratitude are made to honor the balance of life, the presence of spirits, and the enduring power of the land. She learns to protect herself while remaining open, to build sacred space without walls, and to carry her practice into every corner of life. Energy is felt, guided, and released with intention. The hedge witch becomes a guardian of her own spirit, as well as a steward of the natural world. In solitude, she discovers depth, the quiet conversations with the wind, the soft guidance of the plants, the subtle teachings of the stars. Each day, her craft matures, not in spectacle, but in connection, attention, and harmony. She knows that magic is not the bending of the world to her will, but the co-creation of life with all its living forces. Through these advanced practices, the hedge witch steps fully into her power, not as a wielder of force, but as a listener, a learner, a caretaker, and a participant in the endless rhythm of the living magical world. Chapter 7. The hedge witch's practice is alive in her daily routines. She does not reserve magic for special occasions. She infuses the ordinary with awareness, intention, and ritual. Morning and evening are sacred times, a whispered blessing over water, a small meditation, or a reflection on the day's energies. These moments are the threads that weave magic into the fabric of life. Daily exercises might be as simple as observing the movement of clouds, tracing patterns in sand, or tending to herbs and plants with care. Each action is an opportunity to practice mindfulness, to feel energy, and to acknowledge the living world around her. Even chores, when performed with awareness, will become acts of devotion. The hedge witch often keeps a journal, recording her observations, insights, and experiences. This is more than a diary. It is a map of growth, a record of subtle energies, and a space for reflection. Symbols, sketches, and notes capture her evolving understanding of plants, spells, and the unseen forces she encounters. Rituals at home or in nature are flexible and intuitive. A circle may be cast in the soil of a garden, a candle lit on a windowsill, a stone placed in a path to mark intention. The hedge witch learns to feel the energy in each space, to adjust her actions, and to honor the unique character of every moment. She also integrates magic into her interactions with others, not to control or impose, but to share goodwill and protection. Simple charms, words of encouragement, or mindful offerings become ways to extend the practice beyond herself, connecting her path with the lives around her. Over time, these small, consistent practices accumulate into a life rhythm, one in which the hedge witch moves with intention, observes with depth, and participates fully in the ongoing flow of nature, spirit, and magic. Her craft becomes inseparable from her daily life, her mind tuned to patterns, her heart open to the guidance of plants, ancestors, and unseen energies. In this way, the Hedge Witch's solitary path is both practical and sacred. It is not marked by grand gestures, but by the steady, mindful weaving of magic into every step, every breath, and every moment of living. Chapter 8. As the Hedge Witch matures in her practice, she begins to work with the deeper currents of life. Earth, the cycles of the seasons, the turning of the moon, and the energy of the unseen realms. These are not merely symbolic. They are living patterns that guide her work, inform her spells, and illuminate her path. Seasonal rituals mark the passage of time and attune her to nature's rhythms. The planting of seeds in spring, the gathering of herbs in summer, the honouring of ancestors in autumn, and the quiet reflection in winter. Each season offers lessons and opportunities for connection. By aligning her actions with these natural cycles, the Hedge Witch magnifies her intent and flows with, rather than against, the energy of the world. Personal power is cultivated through consistent attention and practice. Meditation, observation, and ritual focus sharpen her awareness. Small acts of magic, lighting candles, anointing herbs, speaking intentions, are repeated with clarity and care, creating a cumulative force that strengthens her presence and connection. Spirit work deepens at this stage. The Hedge Witch may call on ancestors, guides, or the spirits of place, always with respect and openness. She understands that these connections are partnerships, not demands. Listening, honouring, and learning are central. In return, guidance, insight, and protection flow naturally. The Hedge Witch also nurtures her intuition. Dreams, feelings, and subtle signs are noted and honoured. Symbols appear in the natural world, a certain bird, a turning leaf, the flight of clouds, and she learns to read these messages, interpreting them as gentle guidance for her path. Through these practices, the Hedge Witch strengthens her inner sanctuary, creating a space of power and harmony that supports her everyday life. Magic is not separated from living. It is integrated into every step, every breath, and every choice. Her solitary path becomes a life lived consciously, reverently, and joyfully, a testament to the enduring, quiet power of the Hedge Witch. Chapter 9. The Hedge Witch, having walked the path with patience and care, now learns to weave all aspects of her practice into a living, breathing whole. Herbs, rituals, meditation, and spirit work are no longer separate threads. They merge into a single flowing tapestry of magic that colours every moment of her life. Her herbs are no longer simply tools, but companions. She knows their properties, their spirits, and their timing. A sprig of rosemary brings protection, a pinch of thyme evokes clarity, and lavender whispers calm into her heart. She harvests and tends with gratitude, honouring each plant as a partner in her craft. Rituals, too, have evolved. The Hedge Witch no longer relies on formal structures alone. She improvises, guided by intuition and the energy of the moment. A candle lit on a windowsill becomes a daily meditation. A circle drawn in the garden soil holds intention. A small offering left beneath a tree speaks to the unseen guardians of the land. Each act is deliberate, each gesture meaningful. Spirit work deepens. Ancestors, guides, and elemental forces are invited into her life with openness and respect. She listens to the subtle messages carried on the wind in dreams or through sudden insights. Trusting these communications, she acts with discernment, understanding that true magic is a partnership, a dialogue, not a command. The Hedge Witch integrates magic into the mundane. Cleaning the hearth, preparing a meal, tending her garden, all become opportunities for ritual and reflection. Awareness is the foundation, intention is the spark. Even in solitude, she radiates calm, strength, and connection, creating a life that is both ordinary and sacred. She also honours the cycles of time, the waxing and waning of the moon, the rhythm of the seasons, the turning hours of day and night, all guide her work, shape her spells, and attune her to the flow of energy around her. Through these cycles, she aligns her actions with natural forces, amplifying her intent without force or strain. In this integration, the Hedge Witch becomes fully herself, a practitioner, a student, a guardian of the living world, and a weaver of magic. Each day is an opportunity, each moment a chance to honour life, and each breath a reminder that magic is not a distant dream, but the living, breathing pulse of the world in which she walks. Chapter 10. The final chapter of the Hedge Witch's journey is not an ending, but a deepening. a reflection on the path she has walked and the magic she has cultivated. Mastery is not measured by power or spectacle, but by understanding, presence, and harmony with life. Reflection is key. Each day, she reviews her actions, her rituals, and her observations. She notes the growth of plants, the cycles of the moon, the shifts in her own intuition. Journaling, sketching, and recording insights become sacred acts, allowing her to recognize patterns and track the evolution of her craft. Continuity is cultivated through habit and awareness. The hedge witch maintains her practice not out of obligation, but from devotion. Daily rituals, small spells, tending herbs, and listening to the world around her become threads of consistency, weaving her life into a living magical tapestry. She understands the flow of energy, the dance of intention and outcome. Magic is not something imposed, it is a dialogue, a co-creation with nature, spirits, and herself. She acts with mindfulness, knowing that even the simplest gestures carry weight when performed with awareness. Passing on knowledge is subtle in the solitary path. It may be through stories told in quiet gatherings, notes left for others on similar paths, or simply by embodying magic in her everyday life. The hedge witch's example, calm, attentive, connected, teaches without words, inspiring those who observe her craft. Solitude, once seen as isolation, becomes a sanctuary. In the quiet, she discovers clarity, strength, and connection. She communes with ancestors, speaks with the spirits of the land, and listens deeply to the wisdom of plants and natural cycles. In this solitude, her practice flourishes and her understanding deepens. Ultimately, the hedge witch's mastery is a living art, a balance of attention, intention, and care. Life itself becomes her ritual, and magic flows through every choice, every breath, and every step along the hedge-lined path. She moves forward with humility, joy, and wonder, knowing that the path is endless, ever-changing, and eternally alive.